So, yeah, you can. You wanna play them, or you want?
I'm just gonna see how it feels.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. now we'll do the RT. We can almost stand up and go to the front. Push can
Hare Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajaga Ashtatara Shri Shima Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Gauti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Praise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulasvi Devi ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Yamunamai ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Sri Guru Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Krishna devotees. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And Gornitai always happy to see us. When we think of them, or come before them, or and especially when they chant and dance, and this Harinam Sankirtan revolution. So, Krishna and Boga, we will continue the program tonight. His Grace Krishna Prabhu will be giving a discussion on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And there will be a feast which has already been offered to Gauritai, and we'll serve that out at about 6. So we'll need some volunteers, and I think everybody knows how that works. So let us continue on, and Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Public speaking is very difficult, but it's nice to be such a voice because we have Krishna. So, first of all, we were talking about yesterday. Does anybody remember? Only a few people that were there. Some people missed out. Yes, we were talking about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And today, we're talking about? Okay, Lord Chaitanya. Yes, so we don't have so much time. I don't want to drag everything on. We can kind of try to keep it short and sweet, but in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he describes why he descends to this material world. Why is that? To annihilate the miscreants and, yes, protect the devotees, or attract his devotees back to him. So, we see many people are inclined to practice spiritual ways of living. But there's many ideas of how to approach that. But fortunately, we have the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna makes it quite clear. And even more fortunate, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, which showcases not just the words of God, but the words of the devotees of God and their activities and how they approach Krishna. But beyond that, we have the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is like the inner mind, the inner workings of. One time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was talking and saying, sometimes there may be a big flood, a big disaster, and you have to just gather some things and you go to high ground. You don't have time to sort through everything and pick what you want. And in short, what you're saying, but in essence, the whole Krishna conscious philosophy just the lila. But he came to realize that there's also the entrance to the kirtan. The Lord tells us, oh, through no amount of austerities, no amount of intelligence, no amount of strength, no amount of any kind of material quality, any kind of material endeavor can bring us entry into this kirtan. And one could say, what do you mean? I'm coming to the kirtan at the temple and I'm like worse than that brahmachari. We may come to the kirtan in the temple, we may come to a kirtan with the association of the devotees, but we may never really enter into the kirtan. What's the effect of chanting the holy names? Who has a guess? That's there? Something else? Purification of the heart? Rather, I chant the holy names and what's the result? There's something more that comes from that. More chanting of the holy names. So if we're really getting absorbed in the kirtan, we can see because I will want to do more kirtan. Anything we do materially, we'll do, and at some point it will fade out and say, this, I need a break, I need something different. But if we're truly getting absorbed into chanting the holy names, you'll want to do more and more and more. So, I don't know who all here is chanting japa every day or chanting 16 rounds every day, but sometimes we may struggle and we're thinking, oh my gosh, 16 rounds. Please just let me get there and let me be done so I can move on and finish the day. But the holy name is supposed to be sweet. And a true indication is if I'm chanting and I finish 16 rounds and I'm like, man, I wish I could chant more. I wish I had more time. This is nice. Let me chant an extra round or let me chant more. This is a symptom of Krishna's reciprocation with our chanting, because if we're truly chanting, the taste for more chanting will come. So Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they embodied this pure chanting. And like I said, this is the Lord. He's perfectly in control of all of his activities and perfectly aware. And all these pastimes are there just to show us, to attract us. And Lord Chaitanya is very merciful in this age where he doesn't annihilate the miscreants like Krishna does. He annihilates them in a different way, by purification of their heart. So, I don't know about everybody else, but I certainly wasn't raised to love God, to chant God's names, to think of God, to worship God, let alone never hearing of Krishna. But somehow, by coming in contact with this movement of Lord Chaitanya through Srila Prabhupada, somebody can immediately give up all of their bad habits. And we may struggle with anxiety, depression, different addictions, different attachments, different jealousy, envy, anger, you name it. But still, these are the subtle things that were covered up by all of our activities in the past that we are trying to hide behind. And because we're able to give up the gross things that continue to fuel these bad tendencies, now we can start to see what's really there underneath the surface. Because so many people are taking to addiction to cope with all of their problems, taking to a relationship with another person to cope with their problems rather than actually being real, taking to, you name it, watching movies, eating certain kind of foods, overindulgence in anything material. There's always a scapegoat to find some outlet to not deal with our pressure, our problems, our anxieties, our worries, on and on and on. So as we cut those out and take up the process of Krishna consciousness, this is that Chaitra Darpana Marjanam, the cleansing of the dust of the heart. So sometimes we may face difficulties, adversities. Some days we may wake up and just say, I just don't even want to chant today. But you know what we have to do in those times? We have to chant. We have to push through. We have to keep going. This is where real growth comes. Because if we do things only when we want to do it, what growth will there ever be? Because if we're doing things only when we want to do it, this is not spiritual at all, actually. This is just a mental platform. Oh, I like this, I like that, this is good, this is nice. Today, I don't feel like this, I don't feel like it. What's the nature of the mind? Thinking, feeling, willing. So if we're thinking, I don't feel like it, oh, that's my mind processing the situation and saying, no, I don't want to do it. So the potency of taking vows, of making a commitment to the spiritual master, this is a source of the utmost strength. And when one fulfills those vows, or even if we come up short, but we attempt to fulfill those vows, so much strength, so much purification. So Lord Chaitanya, as we were talking yesterday, was a scholar, was a teacher, but then he became infatuated with love of Krishna, and then he became a sannyasi. And he renounced the world. And then yesterday we talked about how Lord Nityananda played a nice little trick on him, because actually I was thinking today, I was talking about this, which is the first trick, but many later, Lord Chaitanya, he kept trying to go to Vrindavan. He kept trying. And the devotees always found different ways to cheat him and not let him go. Because Lord Chaitanya, he was very obedient to his devotees. So he would always ask them for permission. I really want to go to Vrindavan. Please bless me so I can go to Vrindavan. And they'd say, you know, right now it's Kartik, so there's big festivals. You should stay here. And then after that, it's going to be a little cold. It's going to be the winter. It's going to be hard to travel. So like, you know, he'd probably just stay here. And then, you know, after that, there's another festival in the spring. So stay here till the spring, then you could go. And he's like, oh, okay, Jai, Jai. And then the festival in the spring comes and they're like, well, you know, the rainy season is right around the corner. And then, you know, then we have this festival and then the Ratha Yatra is here. So you might as well just stay here, you know, till like beginning of Kartik, then you could go. So they played so many tricks because they didn't want to see Lord Chaitanya go. See, nowadays we take things for granted. We have a phone. I can just FaceTime somebody. I could email somebody, text message them. But in those days, when people went on pilgrimage to the holy places in India, you never know if you'd see them again. Or 30 years might pass by, 40 years before you see them. And like we were already talking, they're gathering in the kirtans, and it's stretching for a whole yuga, you know, a whole day of Brahma, and it felt like just a moment passed by. So when there's somebody that you love that much, where that much time seems like nothing at all, what would it feel like if that person actually left for a sizable amount of time? And this is the mood of Lord Chaitanya, because he's given us this Shikshastakam, in which one of the prayers he says, I'm feeling separation of you, Lord Krishna. And a moment feels like 12 yugas. So this is true love, when you love somebody so much, but that separation is burning, but that at the same time, that burning separation brings you closer because you're totally absorbed in thinking of that person. So this is what Lord Chaitanya came to teach, and he didn't just teach it with his own actions, with Krishna, his relation to Krishna, but also his devotees' affection to him. But anyways, he later went to Vrindavan. He's doing Harinam, Sankirtan all around India. So much different stories of meeting different people along the way, delivering them through chanting the holy names, delivering them just by seeing him, taking darshan of him, delivering them by them seeing his golden glaring effulgence emanating from him. But then eventually he comes back to Jagannath Puri, and Jagannath Puri is very famous for the Ratha Yatra. big festival. Even now, you can look it up if anybody's never seen it. I assume that most 90% of people here know about it, but very big festival. One of the biggest one of the biggest gatherings in the world, actually, but especially religious gathering. Anyways, Lord Chaitanya would gather to do Sankirtan with his devotees. And they were actually very systematic, very intelligent of how they approached the kirtan. They didn't get out there and just start chanting. Lord Chaitanya, he made different groups of kirtan parties to ensure that the holy name was like really going throughout the whole crowd. So he appointed lead kirtaneers, the singers. He would give 2 mridanga players and I believe 6 or 7 kartal players for each group. And you know what else each group had? A lead dancer. Yes, you know who some of those lead dancers were? They were the most ecstatic ones, actually. Haridas Thakur, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu. How would you like to be the lead dancer in the kirtan? Prabhu, your service is to dance so much that you get everybody else fired up so they chant with their whole heart. What a service. So nowadays, again, we have speakers, we have microphones, and other things we take for granted. Back then, they didn't have that, so they split up into different groups so that they could all chant and hear very nicely. And with each group, it was just a riot, big transcendental party, all for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya actually manifested himself so that he went into each and every group. But it was very mystical because there's one group of chanters and mridanga players and dancer, and they think, oh, wow, we're chanting so nice. We're doing the best at Lord Chaitanya. He's actually coming to dance and chant in our group only. But then the next group, they had Lord Chaitanya there, and they're thinking the same thing. And the next group, they had him there, and they're thinking the same thing. But only Maharaj Prataparudra, who was a great devotee of the Lord, but because he's a king, Lord Chaitanya refused to meet with him because a sannyasi shouldn't meet with a king. Somebody in the renounced order shouldn't meet with somebody who's, king of all royalty, opulence. But Lord Chaitanya was blessing him, mostly because Maharaj Prataparudra was the king, but before the Ratha Yatra, they have a big broom and they go out and broom the road. In India, they say broom the road, but here we say sweep the road. Before Lord Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya saw him doing this menial service and he became very pleased and he wanted to bless him. So he gave him this blessing that he actually was the only one that could see Lord Chaitanya, that he was in each and every single group. So this is how Lord Krishna chooses to manifest his divine opulences in many ways. But these kirtans reach such high peaks of ecstasy, and Lord Chaitanya was exhibiting transcendental states of what we would say madness. You can read the descriptions of the symptoms of ecstatic emotions and feelings. You have goosebumps popping all up out of your skin. You're like bleeding out of those goosebumps. You're shivering. Your teeth are chattering. He's trying to say, during the Ratha Yatra, generally they say, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya was so ecstatic, his teeth were just chattering. He's just, he couldn't even get it out because he was trembling with ecstasy. And actually, Lord Chaitanya, he was absorbed into the esoteric, the inner meaning of the Ratha Yatra, of the residents of Vrindavan trying to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan, because Krishna left Vrindavan and their hearts were broken, but they never forgot Krishna and they're trying to bring Krishna back. And they were doing this with the Ratha Yatra. It's symbolic for them trying to do this, in particular the gopis. So Lord Chaitanya was absorbed in this mood, which was fueled by his very intimate associate, because Lord Chaitanya was very magnanimous and he would go out, chant the holy names, and many persons would be attracted, but only very few persons could actually understand his mood in full. So like I mentioned, we have the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita is very special because it's like an inside window to the Lord's heart, his inner mood, because he's expressing the most intimate relation that he has, because it's Lord Krishna himself coming in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So the more we hear about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, naturally we can become absorbed in this. And I say this because a lot of devotees, especially if you visit Vrindavan, you can become infatuated with none other than Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna, which is only natural because they're the most beautiful, they're the most loving, they're the most everything. But if we really want their mercy and want to be able to approach them, simply we just have to approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is all merciful, who's not going to take all of our offenses. But in worship of Radha Krishna, offenses, yes, they are there. So if you don't approach in the proper mood, you can pick up some kind of feelings and emotions, but it may not actually be in line with our acharyas. But simply if we just take the process that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fallen and follow in his footsteps, in the footsteps of his devotees who are following in his footsteps, and so on and so forth, then the highest states of Krishna consciousness is right there. We simply just have to take the position of a humble servant and follow. And that all begins with chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna. So it's almost 6 o'clock. That was a few things I wanted to say, or I didn't really want to say, that they just came up in trying to glorify Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just to recap of chanting the holy names. We chant because this is the Sankirtan movement that he brought, and chanting the holy names is actually the means and the goal. So sometimes we may struggle thinking, I'm chanting so much, I'm doing so much, and I'm not making progress, I'm not reaching where I think I should be. But actually chanting's the goal. So if we're chanting, doing devotional service, we're in line with that goal. So we simply just have to accept that and learn to be happy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says one of the austerities of the mind is to be satisfied. So it's an austerity of the mind to practice being satisfied, that I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm okay with what I have. I don't need so much excess. Whatever I have is simply the result of my past karma, of my offenses, and the Lord's mercy upon me. So let me accept that. And the more we don't accept that, I'm sure everybody's been there, and we're thinking of so many plans and different schemes, and we're frustrated, and we think we got to change this and change that. But this is the nature of devotional service, is that simply by me just accepting whatever Krishna gives me, and me just taking the role of a servant and chanting his holy names, then whatever comes is simply just another opportunity to glorify Lord Krishna, to purify ourselves. So, yeah. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments? Okay. Mataji was first. Radha Stali Mataji.
I just wanted to share a comment that I listened to the lecture by Bhaktivedanta Maharaj today, and he was talking about how Prabhupada say chant and be happy. And he was explaining that it's not that we chant to become happy, we're already happy. So when we chant, we should already be feeling happy. And so while we're chanting, we're offering that as a service to Krishna. So that also brought me to think about something I heard from another devotee of when we chant, we should think like, oh, how serve the holy name? How do I serve Krishna? As opposed to how can the holy name serve me? Like, oh, Krishna gave me what I want, and Krishna, so I can get what I want. So rather we can try to chant, like, oh, okay, Krishna, like, if me sitting here for 2 hours chanting your holy names on this one, all of these, on the drop of these, if this pleases you, okay, I'll do it. And so going back to Bhakti Vidya Maharaj, he was saying that you can tell if you're actually connecting more with Krishna or if you're advancing spiritually if you feel, what was I saying? If you actually constantly think, well, how can I please Krishna? Like every action you have is like just to please him, including chanting. But yeah, that was just some thoughts I had from your chanting today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Something else? Do you have something?
You said that we should be satisfied, and then also like said happy. We should just be happy. So austerity, be satisfied or happy. What are some of the? I mean, like like there's kind of there's two parts. Like okay, like well, how should what are some things that we should be like immediately satisfied with, like. And to like kind of like backtrack that, it's like, what if we're just like not satisfied? Even like it's just like this is just where I'm at, like what if that's just how it is? Like I'm hearing and I'm paying attention and I'm engaged, but there's just no spark. There's no light.
That may be there. But we have to understand what that is. And if we don't understand what that is, then simply we have a lack of knowledge. Prabhupada, he often says that all the problems that we face in the world are coming from ignorance. So lack of knowledge, because if I have knowledge, I'll see why do I have all these desires? Why do I have all these agitations? Why do they keep coming up? Simply, I'm associating with the lower modes of material nature. So that's what I've been associating with. So as I come to devotional service, I'm bringing my conditioned nature with me. So then I'm trying to fight that. So what does Krishna say about Sattva Gun? Sattva Gun conditions one to happiness. So one who's in a sattvic state, naturally, they feel peaceful. They feel like, I don't want to go chase all these different things because that's going to take me away from my peaceful energy. I don't need anything else. I'm actually good. So we have to come to Sattva Gun. But how do we come to Sattva Gun? Prabhupada said, you can't just change your nature. Okay, I realize that I should be sattvic. Okay, that's what I'm going to do now. No, it's not so easy, but we have to associate with Sattva Gun. So somebody in your position, then living at the temple is very easy because we do things that are very sattvic. But because we're conditioned in the beginning, it's a struggle. Very big struggle. So this is why it's an austerity to practice satisfaction of the mind, because we have to practice. Any austerity that happens in life, like the mere word austerity denotes that it's going to be hard, a challenge, not easy. So we just have to stick with it. And as we stick with it and keep with Prabhupada's program, then we will become more purified. And as we're more purified, we'll become more peaceful. We'll become less agitated by the push and pulls of the material world. And we will realize this transcendental knowledge more and more. But in the beginning, it's very challenging, and we have to endeavor with patience and enthusiasm. Yes. Patience, enthusiasm. We have to be enthusiastic about what we're doing and really push, chant with enthusiasm, do the process with enthusiasm, but patient, because it's not in our control. And this nature of purification is actually very, very deep, because especially in the beginning, you know, we're very passionate, and when we're passionate, we want to do some activity and get the result. But when we see that it's not so easy, simply just by accepting the process, everything will come, but that can take a very long time. But if I don't accept that taking the long time is okay, I become frustrated. But if I accept that it takes a long time, then the whole process becomes joyful. Because you're content that, okay, it's a journey and I'm on the journey, and you know, I'm okay with where I'm at. So then each passing day, each time we chant the Maha Mantra, each time we hear about Krishna, each time we associate with the devotees, each time we take prasadam, it's all purifying us. Slowly, 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 but surely. Because it's all the nature of samskaras. So what agitates us in our mind? You know, we're chanting japa, especially early in the morning, and we're agitated in our mind. What are we thinking of? Thinking of past relationships, my past habits with different chemicals and plants, and you know, my freedom that I could have at home, my family, you know, this place that I want to go to. It's all samskaras, different things that we've had impressed upon our consciousness. So the more we keep associating with Krishna and the devotees, then we're creating stronger, favorable samskaras. And over time, those favorable samskaras will outweigh those other samskaras. In conjunction with transcendental knowledge, then you lose attraction for the other ones, because you could see that it's simply silly, a lot of these things.
So the golden avatar is the most merciful. So how come in that house of Shiras, you couldn't just like accept that person's austerities and like get his feet to move, you know?
Well, in short, it's a lila. So the Lord is doing and arranging these pastimes to teach us particular lessons, so we can observe what's the proper process to follow. Because similarly, there's another pastime with what's his name, Chota Haridas, Junior Haridas, and Lord Chaitanya admonished him to the point where he killed himself. And you know, it's a whole long thing. I'm not going to get into it, but all of that is just a lila to showcase to us what should be done and what shouldn't be done. Whereas that's actually the Lord's eternal associate. So in this case, Lord Chaitanya is truly demonstrating that no form of austerity can approach him. Simply, we just take shelter of his lotus feet. And this is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Prititcha, Mami Kam Shadanam, just surrender unto me. I'll protect you. So Valmiki the other day was talking about, you know, doing unnecessary austerities in Krishna consciousness. He was talking about one devotee, he like almost died because he was fasting or something. So sometimes we may get into certain ways where we do an austerity and we think it helps us advance in service for whatever reason. But if the austerity isn't directly just for Krishna's pleasure, then it breeds a hard-heartedness. It breeds some issues. So Lord Chaitanya was highlighting this. Is that okay?
There was a devotee that was like hanging out with gypsies and like,
I think his name is Krishna Das.
and he got like, he was like making offense to the devotees, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like kicked him out, but then he like made a joke, and then Mahaprabhu.
Oh, you're talking about, what's his name? Anyways, his name's slipping my mind, but that was a different case. That specifically was this devotee would associate with the devotees, and when he would leave, he would go associate with impersonalists and hear from the Mayavadis. And Lord Chaitanya came to hear that he was hearing from Mayavadis. So then Lord Chaitanya kicked him out of the kirtan. And when this devotee found out that he was kicked out of the kirtan, he became so upset, and he was telling all the devotees, and the devotees are merciful, and they're like, Mahaprabhu, he slipped up, give him a chance, let him come back. And Lord Chaitanya's like, no, I won't see him for the next, 1,000 lives, 1,000 births. Tell him that. So then they went and told him that, and he heard that, and he was like, Jai, Haribol, the Lord's going to accept me again, Jai. So then Lord Chaitanya heard how pleased he was. And then he was like, oh, okay, bring him back in. So something we can learn from that is this purification process where, we want it to be rapid and we don't accept it. So then it's you have to wait a very long time because you're always fighting this process. But the more you accept, okay, it may take me 100 million more lifetimes to be able to actually be purified, to be free from this material world. And you accept that and accept the process to get there, then instantly the Lord's mercy is there. So that's you can tie in the point to what I mentioned, but it's a little different situation because the kirtan in this, I don't want to make the full claim and say it's just the backdrop, but it's the lila. So this is the Lord's play, and he's using this to demonstrate different things, different points of the philosophy of how to approach him. Okay, we can have one last comment or question or thought, and then we can end.
I wanted to add on your point, actually, if that's all right, that you were sharing to Dr. Eden's question. I thought about this often, of how it's really important for us to find the right association also. A devotee is a devotee, so we might think oh yeah, they're devotees, so I'm associating with a devotee. But I was also thinking we're all affected by different modes, and so sometimes we do have to discriminate and think oh, okay, well maybe that's not healthy for me right now. Maybe I can associate with someone that will actually make me feel more peaceful and more towards the kind of quality or character that I want to develop. And I was also thinking about how, in the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami, he writes what association with devotees mean. And so there's these 6 loving exchanges that we can have, which is, we share prasad with them. So that might mean, oh, let me serve you some prasad, and then they serve you back. And then you share gifts. And you find someone you could trust also to do these things go along with sharing your heart and confidence. And so I think it's really important for all of us when we're feeling down that we can find a devotee that can that inspires us, encourages us, and we're so fortunate now, although it can be a curse, but it's also somewhat of a blessing that we can use the internet as a service to Krishna. So that way we can, I was saying, we can just video calls another devotee, find a YouTube channel of some devotee that inspires us, and we're really lucky we can do that. Anyways, that was some thoughts I was having, but that's okay.
I just want to share one final thing that this makes me think of, just to show how interesting life can be, because in one sense, yeah, it's we have our own conditioned nature, and then it's I might not get along so well with some devotees, and other devotees I might naturally click with more. But as we proceed in devotional service, we should associate less with our conditioned nature and put more service to Guru and service to Krishna in the middle, and then we can bond over that, and that's actually true friendship rather than relying on material conditions. But then as one actually exceeds further in devotional service, which we may never attain, but just to showcase the example, that you have some groups of gopis are, in one mood, and other groups of gopis, like, they compete with each other. So, they're still not getting along. So, like, neophyte position, we may, only get along with some and not get along with others. More like medium position, we get along with others. In the highest state, yeah, you might, you might have particular ones you connect with, and other ones you don't. But even them, they still can bond over the fact that their whole life is dedicated towards serving Krishna. So the point is, from the conditioned nature, that's not there, and then we're putting me in the center, which is all the false ego, and then my false ego butts up against your false ego, and the way to overcome that is by putting devotional service in the center. So thank you everybody for participating, for hearing, for patiently tolerating me.